Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have some great clips. So Gary Gensler was in front of Congress answering questions and he got his ass beat in Congress. You have to see some of these clips, guys. They're great. And you just look at Gary and honestly, he's just that uncle or grandfather that nobody wants to talk to. You know that person in the family that everybody hates? I think that's Gary Gensler. Check out this. Tom Emmer brings Gary Gensler to task. Watch this. This is such a good clip.
So if you can keep your answers to either a yes or a no, that will allow us to get through as many as possible, sir. From your perspective, is it more difficult now for the digital asset industry to access financial products and services in the United States than it was, say, 2 years ago?
Sir, I'm not running one of those businesses. If they came into compliance, I think
Reclaiming my time. The answer, sir, is yes. Do you think you and the SEC have had a role to play in that?
I think we have a role to protect the American investor and the capital markets. And
Reclaiming my time, sir. You have played an obvious role in that. During your tenure at the SEC, how many rules has the SEC finalized that actually accommodate the existing regulatory framework and are specifically to the digital asset industry so the crypto market can come into compliance?
How many?
It's their rule books that are on the books for years, so we have not finalized any new rule specifically with regard to crypto. We've proposed some things in best execution. We have also...
Sir, reclaiming my time, the answer is zero.
You see how Gary doesn't answer the question? He just averts it, and he just tries to waste time here. This guy wants more power over the crypto industry. Are you kidding me? No way. Or should we give this guy any more power? This guy should be fired today. I'll keep playing these clips.
And how many enforcement actions has the SEC levied against digital asset companies during your tenure, sir?
I think it's probably 40 or 50.
The answer, sir, is about 55. My understanding is that the biggest crypto failure in history is probably FTX at $9 billion. Were you the chairman of the SEC when FTX collapsed?
Woo.
Yes.
And how many times did you meet with FTX prior to their collapse?
I think my public record shows 2.
You met it with FTX at least twice, and arguably...
You hear what he said there? I think my public record shows 2, which means that, hey, maybe they met in private. I always thought that FTX and Sam Bankman, they basically bribed everybody, right, to get where they needed to go. What were all these meetings with Gary about, and were there secret meetings? I would have loved him to, Tom Emmer, to ask, did you have a private meeting with Sam Bankman that was not on the books? That is the question I really want the answer to.
The second biggest crypto failure in history was Terra Luna. Who was the chairman of the SEC when Terra Luna collapsed, sir?
We had brought...
You were, sir. Reclaiming my time, you were. There are 5 members on the commission. Do you believe your speeches and interviews are to serve as the official position of the SEC?
I can only speak for myself when I'm speaking.
Again, sir, in a statement on the SEC website, you are quoted saying, the Kraken staking as a service enforcement action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register. But again, you haven't provided any rules for how that can be done. I must remind you, your public statements are not regulations. It's not responsible to expect the American people to assume your statements are a substitute for rules. Do you agree with this statement regarding the digital asset industry? The SEC needs additional congressional authorities to prevent transactions, products, and platforms from falling between the regulatory cracks.
I think that it's a largely non-compliant field. And
sir, again, I asked you to comply with my, and I'm asking you if you agree with that quote. And I'm going to tell you, I'm quoting you from an August 3rd, 2021 article where you, and I believe you told Congressman Hill earlier, that you need congressional authority to regulate stablecoins. And stablecoins happen to be a significant percentage of the crypto market. So the question is, when were you telling the truth? To Mr. Hill or to me? You've got to start answering these questions in a more transparent manner, sir. Does it concern you, by the way, that your approach to the digital asset industry is actually driving this industry out of the United States?
We're trying to drive it to compliance, and if they're not complying with the laws, then they shouldn't be offering their products.
Reclaiming my time. Madam Chair, I would like to enter into the record this Wall Street Journal article from April 14th, 2023, detailing China's ploy to open its banking system to crypto firms in an effort to seize an opportunity created by our hostile regulatory environment, which, Mr. Chair, you're a big part of.
Without
Look,
objection.
Chair Gensler, FTX was domiciled abroad and so is Binance, yet American consumers still had access to both. You can't really think that pushing this industry abroad is going to protect American consumers when it hasn't several times in the past on your watch. You say the crypto market is rife with non-compliance. However, existing SEC rules make no sense for blockchain-based companies, and following them would actually kill these businesses. Your regulatory style lacks flexibility and nuance, and as a result, you've been an incompetent cop on the beat, doing nothing to protect everyday Americans and pushing American firms into the hands of the CP. Your intention to work against SEC mission and put American investors in harm's way has been made very apparent, sir. It's been a year and a half since you've appeared before this committee. You need to answer to Congress about the issues that you've had with the SEC staff union, the work environment you've cultivated at the SEC that's led to hemorrhaging of senior staff, the intellectual inconsistency of your regulatory treatment towards Bitcoin spot ETFs, and your politicization of capital formation opportunities through your treatment of certain SPACs. And that's just to name a few. Thank you.
Wow, Tom Emmer, you're my hero. I love that. All right, here's another great clip from the same hearing.
Assets held in custody today are not segregated or not bankruptcy remote in bankruptcy and should be appropriately put on public company financials.
I wish I had time to go into the ESG rule and everything else, but Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. The failures are many, but let me cite some of the abuses. You average more than 2 rules proposals a month. You provide inappropriately short comment periods. You have unworkable and unlawful ESG disclosure mandates on the market. You have essentially a Hotel California rule for crypto where you can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. You have endless discovery with no resolution and no clarity for the captives in the market. You have unworkable proposals for overhauling equity market structure, a de facto ban on crypto through proposed custody rule. You have high staff turnover, unhappy people leaving your office, and unhappy companies and capital leaving our country. To correct a long series of abuses, I'm introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where all authority would reside. Former chairs of the SEC will be ineligible under my proposed bill. And this isn't just my take. It resonates across the political spectrum. The American people want democratic access to capital, retail investor participation. You can't just exclude retail investors from markets and claim it's for their own good. Our markets need to function and flourish, and I yield back.
The gentlewoman.
Finally, some people are standing up to Gary and they're hitting him straight in the jaw. Somebody should get Gary Gensler an ice pack because he definitely needs it after this. I got 1 or 2 more clips, guys, and then we'll end this show. Here we go again. Check this out.
The same period saw 16.6% in annualized returns. The New York City employees' retirement system invested $6.5 billion, and over the course of 10 years saw an annualized return of 15%. So when I see returns as high as 16.6%, which seem impressive, there's a question that comes to mind: does the SEC risk fixing what ain't broken? So those are 3 observations, and you're free to respond.
I thank you, and let me try to do them in kind. In terms of crypto, you're right that U.S. investors are accessing the crypto markets, both onshore companies and offshore. Our jurisdictional reach is to both, if they're U.S. investors that are participating in that.
But let's be clear, you have the authority to take enforcement action against offshore deregulated exchange stablecoin issuers.
It takes longer to build the investigative files. It takes longer, sometimes in cooperation with offshore enforcement authorities, to pursue that. And it is, frankly, more challenging to actually get subpoenas complied with. And so it takes longer in time. In terms of your second area about the efficiency in the capital markets, one area is these individual investors and individual investors placing, as you would describe.
He just wastes people's time. All right, this is where we're talking about. This is where Gary Gensler blames the Silicon Valley bank collapse on crypto, not the negligence of the bank executives who took people's money and invested it into securities that went down 30, 40, 50%. He's actually trying to blame it on crypto. Listen to this garbage.
the biggest, Silicon Valley Bank, actually, when it failed, you saw this country's, the world's second leading stable coin, had $3 billion involved there, DPEG. So it's interesting just how this was all had some crypto narrative as well.
And my time is up.
You're garbage, Gary. You're garbage, Gary. All right, guys, I just want to show you those clips. The Tom Emmer clip. Tom Emmer, you get the Hero of the Day award. You did a really good job in that hearing. I hope you guys like this. Please leave a comment. Share with somebody you know. My camera, my face camera is packed. We're moving today and tomorrow. For now, you're going to get videos like this and until I can get set up again. But you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.